Hello, my name's Yvette Bethel, and I'm president of Organizational Soul, which is an HR consulting and training company. My topic today is Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? And it's about bullies who are bosses. There are bully bosses lurking around offices who feel they have to make themselves look better when they put down members of their team. They don't welcome new ideas. In fact, they are so destabilized by new ideas that they reject the idea is not viable, or they say that they already thought of it. Or they criticize both you and the idea. The bottom line is that they are threatened by your creativity because they assign themselves to the only role that allows idea generation. So if they didn't come up with it, then they seek to destroy it altogether. Insecure bosses can create extreme discomfort for their employees. If a manager is threatened by the employee, a number of tactics can surface. Some bully bosses insist on having employees follow their instructions to the letter. They don't allow thinkers to think. But hold on a minute. They can't afford for this to happen. They might be upstaged. Manager bullies are uncomfortable with intelligent, forthright employees who say things as they see them. These free-thinking employees are not afraid to speak their minds. This is a huge risk for bullies because they may perceive you as putting their jobs or their livelihood at risk. And so their survival instincts kick in, and you are put in the line of fire. When their survival instincts activate, manager bullies attempt to harass employees in different ways. They make veiled or unveiled threats, or they withhold something you earned. To turn up the pressure, some managers tell lies to manipulate employees into turning against you so they can control you. Some manager or supervisor bullies take control to the extremes by constantly keeping tabs on employees they're targeting, calling them frequently and at odd hours, and sending emails that reek of pettiness or accusatory overtones. There are oftentimes no limits to the tactics bullies deploy. They can resort to negating everything you say, minimizing your contribution, taking disciplinary action for reasons that don't warrant it, frustrating you with unwanted assignments, busy work, or narrow-mindedness. They also ignore or interrupt you, sabotage you, display negative body language, practice unethical behavior like delaying or reducing your raise, or they direct angry or loud outbursts at you. They gossip about you, constantly insult you, or fire condescending remarks. In environments like these, there's fair and unmistakable tension. Everyone on the team feels it, no matter who's being directly affected. When this happens, employees tend to move into avoidance mode because they don't want to be faced with a direct verbal assault. In some cases, the employee feels trapped because if they tell the bully about the undesirable behavior, the behavior could worsen. If employees tell their boss's boss about the behavior, this could lead to continued or worse harassment. If employees report the behavior to a lawyer, they could experience other complications that jeopardize their jobs. I have seen direct attempts to resolve bullying work, and I've seen these same tactics backfire. There are times when employees think there's safety in numbers, so they report the inappropriate behavior as a team. But this too can work, or it can backfire. If the attempts to resolve the situation by the executives don't work, either the executives don't believe the allegations, or they approach the bully inappropriately, or they allow bureaucracy to get in the way of an effective solution. Sometimes executives may be afraid of the bully themselves or compromised, and they can't take definitive action. In cases like these, nothing effective may be done by the executive, or even worse, the bully may receive a meaningless tap on the wrist. Then there are unpredictable bullies who swing from being easygoing and friendly to angry, unpredictable monsters who spew insults and caustic criticisms without discrimination. The psychologists may call it a bipolar disorder. Employees call it a living hell. They live in an environment that is palpable with fear of the next surprise attack. Sometimes bullies are very intelligent high performers who are intolerant of people they perceive as less intelligent or competent than themselves. As the Arabic proverb goes, a wise man associating with the vicious becomes an idiot. Let's take a look at the costs of bullies. Bullies can create opportunity costs within an organization because interaction with them will be avoided unless it's absolutely necessary. If avoidance is the chosen path by the majority, your business results are compromised, new ideas are limited, employee morale is low, the quality of customer service can suffer, and you can lose good employees to the competition. Another cost is that sometimes employees will embellish the truth in order to avoid an unpleasant interaction. Self-preservation mode becomes the order of the day. So here are some ideas for how you can neutralize bullies from a book by Robert Sutton. Sometimes everyone in the organization is afraid of the big bad wolf. Employees, their peers, their bosses, and executives. In Sutton's book, he recommends a number of tips for surviving bullies. They are, firstly, reframing how you see things. Switch from pessimism to realistic optimism. Then, develop emotional detachment from the dysfunctional behavior. Then you can look for small wins. Other people choose to limit their exposure to the abusive behavior. Still others fight and win the right small battles. You can also create an exit strategy and leave the organization or department if you've done everything you can to create a workable solution. Take note, I am not advocating running away from your problems. I support attempting various solutions, and then if they don't work, decide what's best for you and your career. You may never use it, but you know it exists. In some organizations, employees are expected to resolve their issues with bully bosses. This puts the employee in a difficult position because the bully boss has to rate the employee's performance and determine their raise at the end of the year. Bully bosses can be successfully neutralized by their bosses if their bosses take ownership of the problem and take corrective action. The first line of corrective action is the provision of opportunities for counseling, coaching, or training for the bully boss. If opportunities for self-development don't help the bully boss, determine if they can be rehabilitated and if they can operate effectively in another role. You can consider a lateral placement with no responsibilities for staff, a demotion, or even dismissal. Always keep in mind, bosses or executives can only act if they're given permission to share your complaint. So if you cloak your account of the dysfunctional behavior under a veil of confidentiality, you run the risk of perpetual attacks. If you feel there's a possibility that you may be a big bad wolf, admit it to yourself and seek help. Perceiving your coworkers as enemies is unproductive because it diminishes you and it violates members of your team.